Today we're group 54 and we're going to be doing question 4 on Newton's law of cooling. Here we've got Jacob, well myself, Aaron, Jacob, Jack and Tom, and Edward helped out. So let's move on to the question. Yeah, Jack's turn.
You didn't read out the question.
Inspector is calling to a crime scene in Hotel 202 and she discovers a crime scene with a corpse. Inspector Brisser starts her investigation and makes the following notes. All the windows and doors are closed in the hotel room where the corpse was found. The air conditioning was running steadily at 21 degrees Celsius. The temperature of the corpse was 27 degrees Celsius when Brisser found the corpse at midnight, and the temperature of the corpse was 25 degrees Celsius when Brisser finished her investigation at 2 a.m. And it says to use the above observations and Newton's law of cooling to estimate the time of death of the corpse, and assume that the temperature of a living person is 37 degrees Celsius. And on to Jack.
Okay, so I've got down Briz's notes for the investigation. So the temperature of the body was 27 degrees when she found it at midnight. And then at 2 a.m. her second reading was 25 degrees Celsius. We can assume that an alive person has a temperature of 37 degrees Celsius. And because all the doors and windows were closed and the air conditioner was running constantly at 21 degrees Celsius, we can assume that that's the surrounding temperature. What we want to find out is what is time zero. So we have midnight, we have 2 a.m. as two time readings. We want to find time zero, time of death, when temperature equals 37 degrees. So Newton's law of cooling is that the temperature, which is a function of time, is equal to the temperature of the surroundings plus the initial temperature minus the temperature of surroundings multiplied by this cooling factor, e to the negative kt. So the rate of cooling is this term here. So the change in temperature over the change in time is equal to the initial temperature minus the surrounding temperature times e to the negative kt. The initial temperature is 37 degrees and the surrounding temperature is 21 degrees, so we know that the rate of cooling is 16 e to the negative kt. So if we plug in our initial conditions, we know that 27 degrees, the temperature of 27 degrees is equal to 21 plus this rate of cooling. And simplifying this, we get that 6 is equal to 16 e to the negative kt, and we'll call that equation 1. If we plug in our second reading, the temperature at time 2 a.m., 25 degrees is equal to 21 plus 16 e to the negative kt, which means that 4 is equal to 16 e to the negative kt2, and we'll call that equation 2. We also know that T2 is equal to T1 plus 2 because 2 a.m. is 2 hours after midnight. So rearranging this equation, we get, rearranging equation 1, we get that 6 on 16 is equal to e to the negative kt1. So if we take the log of both sides, we get that log of 6 on 16 is equal to negative kt1. And doing the same thing to equation 2, we get that the log of 4 on 16 is equal to negative kt2. So subbing in that T2 is equal to T1 plus 2, we get that the log of 4 on 16 is equal to negative k of T1 plus 2. And then expanding this out, we get that that's equal to negative 2k take T1k. Subbing in that, we know that negative T1k is equal to the log of 6 on 16. So if we sub that into this equation, that we get log of 4 on 16 is equal to negative 2k plus the log of 6 on 16. And then rearranging this equation to get the logs on both sides and simplifying for k, we get that the log of 4 on 16 minus the log of 6 on 16 all over negative 2 is equal to k. So we get that k is equal to 0.207027, etc. Subbing this k back into equation 1, we get that the log of 6 on 16 is equal to negative k T1, so we know that T1 is equal to 4.838. So because we are doing the time in hours, we know that T1 is equal to 4.838 hours, which is 4 hours plus 0.838 times 60 minutes, which is 4 hours and 50 minutes. And we know that midnight is equal to T0 plus T1. So T0 must be midnight minus T1. So T0 is midnight minus 4 hours and 50 minutes. So T0 is 7:10 p.m. So the time of death was 7:10 p.m.